So hello and welcome to our show, The Awakening, here on WGSN-DB, the Going Bold and Going Solo Network. The information and opinions expressed on this show are just that, the opinions of the individual speaking based on their individual personal experiences. They are not intended to diagnose and do not constitute professional advice or recommendations. My name is Tina Huggins. I am your divorce coach specialist, divorce consultant, and restorative family mediator, and thank you for joining me. So today, our topic is on awakening, radical awakening. So we're talking with Tracey OHara today so that she can kind of give us a background. So one of the things is I went through your bio, Tracey, that I did not know in all the conversations that we've had, that you got to do some training with the Joe Dispenza organization. I just love Joe Dispenza. And because I know where Joe Dispenza came from, you and Joe kind of have a little bit of connection with where your life came from and where his life, what happened to him. So I'm going to let you kind of take it away, and we'll let you kind of tell us a little bit about your connection and your experience that brought you to this awakening.
So I had a radical awakening in 2007, and I was actually dying on the floor, although I was hoping I was dying. It was that bad for me, and I was wishing every day that I was dying. And most of that came from abuse of a narcissistic relationship, terrible abuse, mental abuse and physical abuse from narcissism. And a lot of people know that I've experienced narcissism is all depleting. It takes your self-worth right out of you. So from that relationship, once I had exited that relationship, and it was a traumatic exit, I went into alcoholism because I needed to numb the pain. And I never drank before this, but I always knew that drinking wasn't probably a good thing for me, but the pain was so extreme that I just wanted to numb. And eventually, out of numbing, I just wanted to die. And I had a radical awakening in 2007 that really burst me up off the floor. And it literally spoke to me. And it said, Tracey, get up and go serve. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay, I'm going to get up, because it was clear. It was like lightning came through my body. I got up. I put myself in an institution for a while. And to be honest with you, I had been in AA for like 10 years at that point, and it was not helping me. Nothing was helping me. I had had many therapists, wasn't helping me. I got into, through the grace of God, I had another radical awakening. And the direction was to put me into Kundalini Yoga. Kundalini Yoga was incredibly healing for me. It filled that void within inside of me that felt like a cannonball, that it was just empty. So that filled my my soul. I started to heal. I've come upon many gurus in the world. Joe Dispenza was one of them. And I've had a lot of education with mindfulness. And I thrived on that. And it healed me. I mean, it absolutely gave me presence. It gave me healing. It gave me esteem, because I went in on my own. I went in. I didn't have anybody like a therapist telling me to go in. The techniques of Kundalini Yoga bring you in. And I was teaching it for 18 years. And I love the modalities of it. Joe Dispenza takes you in a different direction. I loved that. And since studying with Joe Dispenza, I've even taken it further into something that I teach now, which is called Reset It, which uses a process of neuroscience and quantum physics. And so with my own evolution of healing, I now just love doing that. But my passion really is to help people, women, men that are in narcissistic relationships, if they can come out of them. I know it's difficult to get away from that, that hold, that they just have such a hold on you, and that's what they want to do. So that, fast forward from 2007 to right now, I feel, really healed. I don't want to brag about it, but I really do. And it's just through the grace of God. And my passion on this planet is to help others to heal and to love their life, because my yoga is called Loving Your Life.
Awesome. So there's a lot of people that might be listening, Tracey, that may not understand the difference between what they call yoga and Kundalini. So I guess we need to kind of stop right there, and I'm going to have you just kind of explain what Kundalini is, not related to yoga, but what Kundalini is.
Yes, so Kundalini is the base of yoga. It embodies all yoga. What we really know out there is just exercise, and I'm not putting it down, but it is just exercise. Kundalini works with the nervous system, and when you're in a narcissistic relationship, your nervous system is pretty shot, so it works with that, and it really brings you into, through doing breath work and what we call Kriya, which is repetitive movements, it brings you into a place of strength, working through the resistance of the mind quite quickly. And we bring the energy, which is called Kundalini or cerebral spinal fluid. We bring that up through the spinal cord, and we bring it into the brain, which helps to heal the brain. And by doing all of these modalities, we also chant. Chanting is huge, because chanting kind of works as a default system with the negative mind going on. So chanting is very powerful, and it's also great for the nervous system. That's the difference, because you come into a place and a space with inside of yourself, and you feel God or spirit, or you feel whole. You feel that sacred space within inside of yourself that makes you understand that you are perfect, and that all of the outside nonsense isn't real for you. And it makes you feel fulfilled, really fulfilled, empowered.
And so what's the difference between the exercise and yoga and Kundalini yoga?
Completely different. So we do, like I said, a lot of breath work, at least the way I teach it. And we're sitting, but we do movements. We're not doing twisting and binding postures. Has nothing to do with that. So anybody can do Kundalini. We're not into the posturing of things. We use the arms, we use the legs, because they're strengthening the nervous system that way. Yeah, is that an explanation?
Yes. I mean, a lot of people may not have an understanding, but to know that it's not just the physical movements of the body. And so to understand it, maybe to put it into lay terms a little bit, is that energy, and I'm coming from my past exercises now, energy is stored in our body. And so in the form with Kundalini, where we talk on lay terms about the Kundalini rising, trying to heat up the body through the breath work and moving that energy upwards is something that's super important. And I recently talked about on one of our past shows about, I was involved in a near motorcycle accident, and I wasn't the one driving, I was on the back. And we were just inches away from hitting this truck, and my friend drove the bike just impeccably perfect, but he had to jump off of that bike and run after the guy that had barreled down off of the embankment that almost hit us. Now, why did he have to do that? Because he needed that physical movement to move the energy, and then he yelled, which was that breath work kind of sort of yelling to get all of that negative energy out. And so that's where the breath work with yoga is so important, is you taking the stuff that's stored and moving it out through your breath.
Yes, and it also works on the brain, works on the nervous system. It's very healing. It doesn't get enough respect, because it's like, oh, breathing, how boring can that be? It's nothing. It is so not boring. It brings you into, we can actually tap into the DMT in our brain. That's always my goal for myself and for the students, because once you tap into the DMT, which is that like psychedelic chemical in our brain, it's just an amazing healer.
I recently worked with a gentleman where we talked. He needed to understand, and when he connects to that DMT, he's literally hunting for messages that come from spirit, spirit itself. And so talking about the connection for the DMT and how we can get to that, because that is a difficult. And I know with Joe Dispenza, he has you tighten up your spinal cord all the way up to the pineal gland, where you squeeze the crystals in the pineal gland and hold it and hold it and hold it, and then release it, which is almost opposite of Kundalini from the way I understand it, but it's doing the same exact thing.
Yes. But I just want to add this. I love him. I think he's phenomenal, but I have an easier way of doing it. Because
it's a very time-consuming way.
The way I teach it, again, I've studied with the ancient gurus from, not ancient, but the text and the techniques are ancient from, 5,000 years ago. The way he does it is strenuous. The way I can teach it to you is not. It's nowhere near as strenuous as that. Like I said, I studied with him, I did it. And I did it as an experiment because I had already had these techniques, but I wanted to know what he was talking about. He spoke a little bit of a different language. I appreciate both. But when it comes to teaching people, because I'm in a class of 15, 20 people, I can't do that. I need to get to the student in a much easier way, and they're going to take it to where they need to take it. Sometimes we'll hit the DMT, sometimes we won't. It all depends on what's going on in their body and how they're holding their breath. But I hope that.
Yeah, it did. And I haven't done Kundalini yoga. I have studied and watched it through text. And then you were talking about that you were trained, but you were not just trained here in the States. You went to India, didn't you?
All my trainings are from India.
Right. So you got some really ancient trainings from the ancient people that are connecting to this doctrine.
Correct. Absolutely. I am dealing with teachers that are of the psychic plane of teachers that are not in body anymore, but they're channeling the information. It's direct. A lot of the teachers that I teach are not in this country. They're starting to trickle in because, they're just starting to trickle in, but a lot of the stuff I teach is not available out there. And I like that. I like that I'm not the masses in what I teach. Also, I just want to throw a little bit out there about, I know there's something on HBO right now about Kundalini. It's called Breath of Fire. And I just want you to know, I'm not of that. It's getting a little bit of a heat. I was trained in some of that, but I exited out of that a long time ago. So I don't want people to hear the word Kundalini and have it be dark, because it isn't. It saved my life. It saved my life. If I didn't come into Kundalini, I would
kind of go next. You talked about that, and right, and so let's kind of back up then. You were told that you needed to go here and do this. So how did that happen, and how did it start to affect you?
So in 2007, like I said, I was trying to basically kill myself. And then I had that awakening, and that awakening kept guiding me through what I needed to do. And I couldn't stand yoga. I couldn't stand it. And then the guidance kept telling me to step in this direction. And then at one point it said, because I was going to go into a bakery business. And then it said directly to me, no, go into yoga. And I was like, yoga? I don't like yoga. But I trusted, and I went through it. I did it. And at the end of the yoga training, my teacher couldn't stand me because I didn't get it. And then I had another radical awakening at the end of this training, because I did a Kundalini yoga. She entered into our training to do a workshop. Oh my God. I did the class. I burst up off the floor. I had another awakening and I was like, whoa, okay, this is where I need to go. And in 2 weeks, I was teaching it with no direction at all. None.
Wow.
It was just channeling down. I was like, what is going on here? So I did that for like 6 months and I was like, wow, what is this? Then I reached out to a guru that comes, that's in LA, and she was a Kundalini yoga teacher. I wrote her a letter. I met her and she was like, oh, wow, you need to come to India with me. I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to India ever, ever. She goes, oh, yeah, you are. And then within 3 days, I had 3 people right out of the blue say something to me about India. And I was like, I guess I'm going to India. Yeah. So that was, and it's been, not an easy ride, because when you do Kundalini, you do start to shed the people in your life. Like there's major transitions go on when you do that type of a yoga, because it just brings you into consciousness. And consciousness is, we're eliminating the negative thoughts and the people, places, and things in our life we have to transition from. It just happens that way. I mean, when you become conscious, you see the world, your life in a different light.
Yes. Yeah. And so I just, so many people, our last show, we got into the spiritual note here. And so a lot of people don't exactly know where we're at. So you said that you got 3 people that mentioned India to you. And so when spirit's communicating, a lot of times it's in threes. It comes in threes. So that was your trust. You trusted. And so I know that I'm working with clients right now, and they're just demanding me give them information. Tell me what to do. And we can't tell them what to do. We take their power away when we tell them. We also give them a way out to blame if things don't work. So then it's not their responsibility to fix it. And so trust, like you did, you heard the India 3 times. And so you had faith, you had trust, and you followed through. And here you are. And the Kundalini yoga is not the only aspect that you work with. That obviously you studied a little bit of Joe Dispenza, but your foundation piece comes back to Kundalini, correct?
Everything comes back to Kundalini for me, because Kundalini taught me consciousness. Kundalini helped me to heal. Kundalini helped me to evolve in my own empowerment. And I want to say something about the breath work. When people do breath work, and again, breath work isn't like breathing in 4 times, holding your breath, exhaling in 4. It's much deeper, which I teach is much deeper. And when you do that type of work, it brings you into consciousness. And in consciousness, you hear what you're meant to hear in that moment that you're meant to hear it. And that's the difference. Like you're saying, people want guidance. Guidance needs to come from the inside. The only guidance we ever need is the intuition. If we only knew that more, if people spoke about that more, it's that child inside that knows everything, because it's being guided by the intuition up until we hit puberty, and then the ego starts to step in. But we know we're the only ones that can heal us. There's great to have guides, there's great to have people, but that's where the yoga came in and healed me in that way, because after doing it for a while, I knew I needed nothing other than myself. The answers are all within me. And, we call what's a spiritual practice sadhana. And sadhana is a practice that we do early in the morning that opens up the mind, the body, the heart. And then we can move on through the day in a very graceful manner. Whatever happens in your day happens, but when you do a sadhana, everything is better. You handle everything better. It's not as dramatic or traumatic. Everything just makes sense.
And I find that to be a fun little statement for the fact that when we trust, that all the answers are within us. And so if we trust it enough, and I think that's where so many people falter and fail, is because they think too much instead of trust. And I know I have a family friend that she's having so much difficulty. She's like, I have done everything. I've done the Joe Dispenza stuff. I've done this, I've done that. And I can't make the $1 million like I set my mind out to do. And it's like, that's not it, And then I have a little story of, just my oldest son just recently got married. And for those of you who don't know, I lost my husband earlier this year. And so that was a bad day for me. I didn't know it. I didn't feel right, but I didn't know it. So my camel's back, so to speak, was kind of weak that day. And somebody made a rude comment about my dog or asked me to move my dog or something to that effect. And that's all she wrote for the day. And so what happened is I ended up leaving my son's wedding before the wedding, right? So I leave and I go down the road a little bit and get a flat tire. And so the whole thing with the flat tire, that was the best part of my day, because what came in after that, and I trusted when humans get involved in my head, sometimes since my husband died, I have a more difficult time with that. But that flat tire, all of my family stopped. They were all there. I got the best hugs. I had people just helping. I had 5 men trying to change this tire that ultimately couldn't. But the whole thing is that all of them were there for me. And that's that trust and what you're talking about with, if we have that faith, it doesn't matter if it's a flat tire. Look for the lining. There is a silver lining there.
Can I just throw this out? And I teach this and I live by this. Every challenge that comes into our life, big or small, is a challenge for us to evolve. It's not to be a victim. It's not to, woe is me. It's actually to take a look at one's life and say, oh, okay, I need to grow from this, not to become a victim to it. And we are not victims. And when you understand that, and Kundalini taught me that, when you understand that, life is so much easier. Everything is so much easier. A flat tire happens. Okay, what's the lesson in the flat tire? I'll just tell you a quick story. 2 years ago, I got run over by a car, head first, run over. But because of my faith, and because I know that every challenge has a silver lining in it, every challenge is my take on every challenge, is that the world, universe, God, whatever you hold dear to your heart, is tapping on your shoulder and it's saying, okay, wake up. Okay, wake up. What is this about? Wake up. I want you to evolve. I want you to grow. I want you to learn this. And that's the way I take life. When the woman, the next morning when I came out of it, right, I said, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. I get it. I'm supposed to sit down for the next 7 months on my butt. Oh, I was moving too fast. Oh, I get it. Thank you, God. Thank you. People may think that's not really how I live, but I'm telling you, it's how I live.
And that's how I live too. I mean, a lot of people have said, you're doing such a great job with going through the death of your husband. And like I tell everybody, it's not that I wanted to be here by no stretch of the means. I mean, if I could bring him back, of course I would do that, but I can't. And the only way out is to go through. And just like you're saying, there's a lesson, there's a gift. And I can tell you from the death, I mean, my heart has all kinds of holes and cracks in it, but I'm able to take the love that he had for me and the love I had for him and fill up those cracks and holes. And giving that love, because since he died, I transitioned into a whole different being and a whole different spirit aspect. And so I'm now able to take that love that we shared and that's filling those emptinesses in my heart and share that with my clients and the people I work with. And it's just it's so freeing and so full of love and such a gift through it all. And I know that that's what Joe is telling me. I mean, he guides me throughout the day, as to where he thinks I should go or don't pay attention. When I was on the back of that bike, He diverted my eyes so that I wouldn't tense up on the back of the bike. Tensing up makes the driver have trouble. So he diverted my eyes. I saw the truck, but my head turned. So, and that was the trust, that's where we trust,
Yeah.
and so I live my life very much the same way that you do.
Yeah. I mean, I will not live any other way. And people around me like, well, you're just so positive, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, this is just the way I live. I just live consciously. Yes. I mean,
and
but that's
it.
Practice. That's a practice because, like you were saying about your friend and how she's thinking, she hasn't made the $1 million yet. We're filled with programs thinking that we should do this and we should do that and this is how we should be. And, we're filled with programs and conditioning and limiting beliefs. And, that's where I love to help people with the reset it. It's just super quick. But adults are stifled by limiting beliefs in every direction of their life. It makes me sad, but it's everybody's own journey. And awakening is the way we have to awaken. We have to awaken. But I know it's not for everybody, but we're in a shift here. We're in a shift of people becoming awake. Yes. I know back in my training, the gurus spoke about this. They spoke about the awakening is coming because it's almost biblical. We are on a journey to awaken. The feminine energy is coming out, which is about awakening.
Mm-hmm. And this is something for viewers that are male viewers, that just because Tracey says feminine energy is in all of us, and masculine energy is in all of us. And we can't be whole without both of them. And in order to be like, so my Joe had enough feminine energy and masculine that he was able to just work those. And he was just the most loving father. He was amazing. And how he dealt with people, I got to take those lessons and watch him, because I knew how I always wanted to live my life and be, but I couldn't quite get there. And prior to meeting Joe, I had done a lot of personal growth stuff, kind of where you were with the Kundalini training and all of that. And so I learned to love myself. And the only way to find the perfect mate is to love yourself perfectly. Because if you can't love yourself perfectly, you can't bring in a perfect mate.
Can I just share a quick little story about that? So in the beginning of my journey, like I said, I'd been with a narcissist for a really long time. It was a terrible situation. I never thought I was going to have a man in my life. I never wanted one. But when I started to heal and really come into my own healing, I'll say it again with the Kundalini, the perfect man came my way. He just came out of the blue, and he's, like you said, a beautiful balance of masculine and feminine, and it's the perfect balance for women, and it's the perfect balance for men. I see a lot of it now. I see a lot of the machoism just stepping down, softening. Oh, I have to tell you, I was at a wedding a couple of weeks ago. Oh my God. I was at a wedding where all the men were up and just swinging it and dancing. I had the best time watching them. More men were on the floor, and these were Marines, Navy, fire captains, Marines, and Navy. They were just banging it up on that floor. I just had the best time watching it, because it's like, wow, here's the shift. They're showing their feminine side. They don't need a woman to dance with them. They're dancing on their own. It was so funny.
How fun. Yes. And it's so cool that you can see that. And, in touching with the awakening aspect, I know that this time frame, and we're getting ready to go into Mercury retrograde. Not that I know much about astrology, but I really write it down so I can pay attention to my days. And for me, in my astrology sign, it is about moving forward. And so to understand that and to read that from where I just came from 4 months ago, moving forward is a really, really great visual for me, because it seemed to me like I was kind of in this perpetual backslide for a little while because my movers backed out and flat tires and needed new tires and new brakes and new hubs and all kinds of stuff. And those were all literally, because I could see how God was orchestrating this trust, why this happened. Now, I may not be able to see a whole big puzzle, but I could see that it orchestrated time for me to spend with friends that I would not have done otherwise because I would have already moved. And so I got to spend time with friends. They were Colorado friends and had moved to Arkansas. And it was just the perfect timing.
Mm.
So
We're also on a solar level, coming out of a time where we've been dominated by Jupiter and Saturn has been dominating the planet, and you can see it through the times, and we're coming out of that now. And as we go forward, you're going to see more of that, whether you like what you're seeing or not. You're going to see more of that because the planetary alignment has a lot to do with what's going on the planet. Whether we're tuned into it or not, it does. It just does.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, if the moon can cause high tide and low tide, all the rest of the planets in their positions have got to do something. You know, it can't just be one thing and all the time, you know. So if we look at that and we accept that, that doesn't mean that we have to necessarily live by it biblically.
Right.
But if we can feel the energy, which is where you have got to with your Kundalini energies work, we can feel the energy. You know, I can feel other people's energy. And when I communicate with them, you know, and it's an amazing thing when we can just ground and center ourselves and just be here in the now. The things that go on are magical.
Total. Well, we are the magic wand. We are the magic wand. We just forgot it. You know, when we're children, we're manifesting. Why? Because there aren't any programs or conditions stuck in our brain. So we are manifesting. We've got these dreams and desires, and we go for them. Most of it, even if it's a toy, right? We go for it. And then, you know, not for everybody, but we get sidetracked. And in that sidetrack, we forget that we are the magic in the magic wand. We're the magic dust. We are magic.
Yeah. And I have taken that on another step with that is like the tip of the magic wand, the one that we swing around, or the questions that we ask the universe. You know, how can I? You know, what can I do? And those questions open our brain up for us to see the answers. And so that brings us back into your story. You come from a narcissistic relationship where you were abused. And I know, my clients all come in from that side. And you and I have talked about this, that being able to send my clients to you after the fact so that you can just release that in just the 1 or 2 sessions that you have to do to release that. That's huge because I'm able to work with them during their divorce, and we do really well with keeping everything in check and everything. But once you come out the other end and there's a lull, kind of like after my husband died, I had 8 kids there at my house for a week. And once they left, the silence that was there was just almost deafening. And so I had to keep the television on 24/7 for a while. And it's that moment there that now the divorce is done. And now what do I do? And that's where your work comes right into play to help release that.
Absolutely. The technique of reset, it helps to release the programming that was instilled by the narcissism and why you chose a narcissist in the first place. There is a program there. There's limited beliefs and there's conditioning there. I know it for myself, and I know what it was for myself. And I beelined it right to that person. And yeah, it's definitely worth a conversation with me to really peel that back. And it's not painful what I do. It's actually liberating, empowering, and fun. It's not about therapy. I'm not a therapist, but I'm going to help you peel away what that limiting belief, that conditioning, and yeah, that program is.
Right, right. And that's huge, because those programs, again, the programs are running in the background of our head, and it's what's causing us to find the partners that we're finding. And in order to move on and get away from those, we have to clear that out. We have to reset it. So that's huge.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I was cleansing and clearing with the Kundalini. That's why my husband was gravitating to me, because I was healed. So I'm not pulling in that sickness any longer, because you have to change. I've seen a lot of women that are dealt with, had a narcissistic relationship, and they get out of that relationship and they choose another one. It just looks, smells, and tastes a little different, but it's a narcissist. Because if we do not heal, we'll do it again, right, and we'll do it again, because it's a program in there. It's a limiting belief, and it's a condition that needs to be healed. Otherwise, we're just going to do it again.
Yes.
I know from experience, we're just going to do it again.
Right. And that's so important for our viewers to know, because like I have a gal that got divorced, and she wasn't ready to date, but she did the work that she needed to do on herself. And there was a mishap of meetings, and she ended up in a different place. Anyways, somebody whom she knew from her hometown, and she had moved. She was in a whole nother state, and she had been moved several states. And somebody from her hometown moved into that area. And somewhere along the way, they met each other. And because she was vibrating at the vibration she needed to, they ran into each other. They knew each other, but had just gone separate directions for so long. And then all of a sudden, here they are. And again, it's the trust and resetting it gets their vibration to bring in what's best for them.
Correct. Vibration attracts vibration. And I realized that in my recovery. I was like, at some point in my recovery, I was like, oh, I'm vibrating at a dark level. So I'm bringing in dark people. Like that darkness was just attracted to me, and I was attracted to it. And I paused for a while, and I was like, I really watched from a distance. I watched my mind. I watched what I was attracting. I started to understand started to understand, like, it's a vibration thing. Once I changed my vibration with Kundalini Yoga, because that's what it does. Forgot to mention that. It changes your vibration, changes your aura, your magnetic field. Then you start attracting what you're vibrating.
Amen. And that attraction, that vibration that we're vibing on, if, like you said, if it's not where it needs to be and it's vibing in that dark, then we're going to draw those dark episodes. For me, I have taken a lot of people to either AA or NA to help people. So I've done the process with them. And after Joe died, I would sit somewhere after 2 p.m. and I would just have a drink. And then sometimes it would be another, and sometimes it would be another. Sometimes I was obliterated by 5 p.m. and in bed by 6 because I just couldn't handle any more of that day. And so I was drawing that to me. And what happened is I went to another location for stuff that was taking place, and I got into a fight. And this fight was a dark fight because I'm trained to fight, and I can remember I'm beating this person, I'm hitting them, and I could feel that rage and how good it felt. And I'm like, whoa, I am done with this. That vibration is not something I want. I got up and I walked away. And the alcohol, although it's still been there off and on, I've been able to finally go, yeah, I don't need that. And now it's like when I go out, maybe I'll enjoy a drink with the friends or something. But it was a scary event for me for, I don't know how long that went on, probably close to 2 months.
Sure. I'm surprised it didn't go on longer than that.
Totally not me. I am totally not that way. Joe and I wouldn't drink during the week. we would only drink on Friday and Saturday and maybe a couple on Sunday during a football game. But all of a sudden here now it's every day, and several days a week I was drinking to oblivion. And that's totally not me. Now, my oblivion is probably not other people's oblivion, is my oblivion maybe between 5 and 8 beers. I can't go past that because I just literally get sick, but that's oblivion to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like, I'll just say this. Drinking changes your vibration.
Does, and not a good way.
It just changes your vibration, and you bring in an element that's not you. It's not the conscious you, but it's this other vibration that's down, that's dark. It's a lower vibration, if you understand what that means. And that's what you're going to gravitate to. That's what you're going to bring in. And, I'll just say, you were mourning. So you worked through it very quickly, which is very impressive. But you were just feeling it out. That's a lot to feel out.
And I've got a really good friend, and hopefully I'll be able to get him on the show soon. He has been, oh man, he's just been my little angel. He messages me every morning and every night, some wonderful little message. So when something happens that relates to he lost his wife 15 years ago. So he knows what I'm going through. And one of the things that he said early on is, he's like, you got to get through the firsts, all the first Christmas, birthdays, first whatever. And that was the thing with my son's wedding, is that was the first event that we had planned that didn't happen.
And that's a huge one. That's huge.
Yep. So we're getting ready to come here to the end, Tracey. So can you kind of tell people how they can find you and get a hold of your information? I know it'll be in the show notes down here, but I want them to hear it from you.
Sure. You can look me up on social media, Tracey OHara. You can look me up on, LinkedIn and Facebook, but you can also email me at, my name, TRACEY, at resetit, RESET-IT.ca as an apple. And look on my social media. All I do is post about what I do through video. So you'll learn a lot about what I do and how the Reset It will help in any direction of your life if you're seeking for a little boost or a change or a transition. So, that's, you can also look up the website. It's www.resetit.ca. Yeah, it's .ca. Yeah, because it comes out of Canada.
Yeah, .ca because of Canada. Yeah. So what kind of last minute advice or suggestions would you make to our viewers?
Well, if they're watching this, then they're obviously looking for a shift and a change. Just, actually be real with yourself for a minute. Just sit down and really ask yourself a question and say, is this what I want to do? Is this what I really want in my life? Is this how I want to feel? Because if you're feeling not right about something in your life, then that's your intuition telling you need to shift. And I'm not saying that shifting is easy, but shifting is it's what the universe is telling you to do. I don't know if that came out right, but if you're not feeling right about where you are in your life, it's because it's not right for you. That's right. The bottom line. You're living through somebody else's programming, conditioning, or limited beliefs. They're not yours. Because I'll just throw this out there. A way to understand that you're living through a program is that you're being triggered by something. Something feels frustrating. Something is angry. Something doesn't feel right. You have an addiction. Something is irritating you. When you're in the flow of your life, which comes from creativity. Oh, stress is another program. Stress isn't real. It's just something that you make up. A way to understand that you are in the flow of your life is that you're conscious and you're flowing. everything is easy. Not easy, but we can handle it. Creativity is the flow of your life. Creativity, for whatever that is for you, means that you are connected to the infinite aspect of yourself, and that's where we all need to be. Sounds like a big chore, but it really isn't. It really isn't.
Yes. And like Tracey said, is that if you're watching this, you're already vibrating to this information. So if you've watched and stayed here to the end to listen to everything that Tracey had to say, it'd be well worth your while to connect with Tracey and just figure things out. Talk to her and see what maybe you might want to do as the next step. Okay. So very good. And I appreciate you being here.
Oh,
Tracey.
my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Yes. And I myself am a certified divorce coach, meaning that I've trained in divorce and its complexities. I specialize in high conflict divorce, especially that from a toxic, narcissistic partner. My late husband, my dad, and myself all experienced that type of abuse. So if you would like to reach me, I can be reached on my email at coachtinalynn@gmail.com. That's coach, COACH, Tina, TINA, Lynn, LYNN @gmail.com. My website is divorcecoachspecialist.com. You can also find me on social media. My Facebook under Tina Lynn Huggins, HUGGINS. On LinkedIn under Tina Huggins. On Instagram under Divorce Coach Tina Lynn. And on TikTok under Divorce Tina. If you are in a serious situation right now, please call the police, 911, or in the UK, 999. Once the police have arrived, please file an order to get them out of the house, a restraining order. Press charges is what I'm trying to say here. Press charges on them. Don't take those charges off, because the charges and the restraining order are your key to safely get out of this relationship. Once you drop those charges, I can almost guarantee what happens next is going to be worse than what's happened to this point. So if you are dealing with domestic violence, please call the domestic violence hotline at 800-799-7233. That number again is 800-799-7233. So the last thing I'm going to ask for you guys to do is to please like, comment, and share this information with others so it can help. And I thank you so very much for joining me, Tracey. This has been an awesome conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking me. And I wish love and light to everybody out there that's watching this. Just sending you blessings, sending you good vibes. You're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. You're worth it. Good life. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Tina, for what you do. It's amazing. Thank you for asking me to be a guest and speaking telling my story.
Great. Well, thanks again, and blessings to everyone.
Okay.